In this video, I'm going to talk about 4 popular recommendations you've probably heard about how to introduce a bottle to a breastfed baby and why they might make bottle feeding more difficult. Now, if you are a breastfeeding mom who has already introduced a bottle to your baby and things are going well, you can keep doing what you're doing. You probably don't need any of the information in this video. But if you are expecting a baby, or you have a young breastfed baby and you need to introduce a bottle, but you're hesitant because you want to do it right, or you want to do it in a way that doesn't mess up breastfeeding, or if you have an older baby who just doesn't want anything to do with a bottle, stick around because you're going to learn some good information in this video. I am Amy Peterson. I am a board certified lactation consultant and have been for over 20 years. I work alongside a speech language pathologist. Now, in our practice, we work with really challenging breastfeeding cases, and a lot of times we will use a bottle as a tool to fix breastfeeding. In other words, we retrain a baby and help them learn to suck more efficiently with a bottle, and it ends in exclusive breastfeeding. So we've been using bottles as tools forever. We have taken this information and applied it to everyday use for any breastfed baby, so moms could be comfortable introducing a bottle to their baby in a way that will support breastfeeding, just like we've been doing with these other babies. We've put this information in a book called Balancing Breast and Bottle, Feeding Your Baby. We actually have the second edition. The first one was green. Not only do we have a book, but we have traveled throughout North America teaching other breastfeeding helpers how to use this information to support the mothers they work with. So this is our passion. This is what we do. We work to train people that help moms and moms themselves to be comfortable using a bottle with their breastfed baby. So if this is you, you're in the right place. So let's jump in. The first popular bottle feeding recommendation I want to talk about is to use a bottle designed for a breastfed baby. That sounds logical, doesn't it? Now I have four bottle packages down here. I'm just going to read to you what they say on them. And this might sound familiar if you've spent any time on the nipple aisle. This one is for breastfed babies. This one claims to help the baby transition from the breast to the bottle back to the breast again. This next one is designed to mimic the breast. And the last one I'm looking at here is designed for an easy transition between breast and bottle. So that sounds good, doesn't it? But here's the problem. A lot of times when you have a nipple that is breast shaped, it doesn't mean your baby's going to latch on that nipple the same way that they would on your breast. So I'm going to show you a couple nipples here. Here's a nipple that kind of looks like a breast. Problem is, when a baby latches on to this shape of nipple, a lot of times they keep their mouth right here. The part that's like the breast is like a backstop, and they feel that and they close their mouth. But we know if your baby's breastfeeding, we want their mouth to be open here because your baby accepts your areola and your nipple. So this is what we want, but on a breast-shaped nipple, a lot of times we end up here. Same with this one. This is a breast-shaped nipple. That's how it's marketed. And again, same thing. The baby's lips may end up right here, and they end up sucking on the nipple like a straw. Now, what we want to see when a baby accepts a nipple is we want to see the nipple go deeply in their mouth, and we want their mouth to open, just like your baby does on the breast. Now, there isn't one shape that's going to be the best for every baby. You need to learn what to look for your baby. I'm going to show you one example. Here's a nipple. When the baby would latch on this one, what we would want is for the nipple to be inserted deeply and the baby's lips to rest up here, just like they would on your areola. But again, one nipple isn't going to work for every baby. So the second bottle feeding recommendation that I hear quite often is to choose a slow flow nipple. Well, here's the problem. There is no industry standard for slow flow nipples. We have tested over 50 different brands of nipples throughout the years, and here's what we have found. The slowest flow nipple and the fastest flow nipple are so far apart. In fact, I did the math on it. The fastest slow flow nipple, still labeled slow flow, is 10.9 times faster than the slowest nipple on the market. So it's not just as easy as finding a label that says slow flow. What you need to know is how to also look at your baby's feeding behaviors to determine if this is a nipple that is the right flow for my baby, or if maybe the flow is too fast, or maybe the flow is too slow for your baby. It can go either way. Also, it's good to keep in mind your own flow. Whatever your milk flow is at the breast, this is what you want to match when you are choosing a flow for your baby. Now, in our book, we have an appendix that we actually have listed many of the nipples on the market right now, from slowest to fastest flow. So that is a tool that is helpful for some breastfeeding helpers and for a lot of moms when they're searching for the right flow for their baby. Okay, let's move on to the third bottle feeding recommendation. You might have heard this one. Mom should not be the one to introduce the bottle. We disagree. Do you know there is no science behind that? No one has ever done a study that proves mom should not be the one to introduce a bottle. What we have found in our practice is that if the baby is the right age, mom is the best person to introduce a bottle. And here's why. Who is familiar with how your baby's mouth looks at the breast? Who will know when the baby latches, this looks like a breastfeeding latch, or this looks way different than a breastfeeding latch? You, the mom. Mom is the one that's going to know this information. Rather than relying on someone else that is more inclined to look at if the baby ate enough, you are the one that knows what the baby's latch looks like. And that's where it really starts if you're planning to breast and bottle feed a baby. You want to make sure the latch is similar on the breast and the bottle, and you, mom, are the perfect one to do that. Okay, fourth bottle feeding recommendation that we hear a lot is, let me find it here. What is the best age to introduce a bottle to a breastfed baby? Now, depending on where you get your information, this is really going to vary. A lot of times on the internet, I see the most common recommendation is 6 weeks, though sometimes I have read if you're planning to return to work, just wait until a week or two before you return to work, and that's the best time to introduce a bottle. Here's the problem. We know that babies are born with reflexes. All babies are born grasping fingers, sucking. They're little things that they just automatically do. As your baby gets older, these reflexes integrate and kind of disappear. They just become part of who the baby is. So the sucking reflex is one of those reflexes that disappears over time or integrates. Now, the speech field has talked a lot about this. Usually it integrates by 3 months or so. In our practice, what we see is a lot of babies still have the sucking reflex at 3 to 4 weeks, but right around 3 to 4 weeks, a lot of babies start integrating this reflex. It doesn't mean you can't bring it back, but it gets harder. The older a baby gets, the less of the sucking reflex you use to your advantage because it's just not there anymore. So introducing a bottle earlier to a breastfed baby allows you time to have your baby suck on different shapes, to gauge which is the best shape for your baby, have your baby try different flows to see which one works best. Once you are past the sucking reflex and sucking turns into voluntary, then you're kind of stuck. Your baby's not willing to suck on a bottle anymore, and that makes it harder to carefully select a bottle for your baby. Okay. The other problem with this recommendation of waiting so long is, what do we do with the little babies that just don't get the hang of breastfeeding in the early days? Well, a lot of times it's easiest to feed those babies with a bottle. And in the method we use, we carefully select a bottle to support a breastfeeding suck and a breastfeeding rhythm and a breastfeeding flow rate for a baby. So even a little baby who isn't successful at the breast yet can use a bottle in a way that supports breastfeeding while they're learning. So to say breastfed babies should wait 6 weeks or shouldn't use it in the early days. That's not a recommendation that we go for. It doesn't work in the real world, and it can make bottle feeding way more difficult. Okay, so those are the 4 popular bottle feeding recommendations. Once you learn how to select the best shape for your baby and how to use the best flow for your baby, the next thing we want you to learn is how to practice with a bottle in a way that still supports breastfeeding. Practicing with a bottle shouldn't interrupt your breastfeedings. You should still be able to breastfeed at the normal interval your baby breastfeeds. And it shouldn't interfere with your milk supply. So these are all things that are important and things that we discuss when we are working with moms. So if you're a mom with a very young baby or you're expecting, obviously the first thing I would recommend is the book. It is filled with so much more than introducing a bottle. It talks about your milk supply, using a pump effectively, what to do if you don't have enough milk, how to select formula, how to use a mixture of formula and breast milk if that's part of your equation, how to navigate daycare, what to do with nighttime feedings, just so much information that is great for when you're just getting the hang of mothering and figuring all this out. The other thing we have that would be really helpful is our beginning bottle feeding class. This is a class for moms that have babies. I usually say 6 weeks and under, though really 4 weeks and under is best because I'm pretty sure your baby's suck reflex is still working at 4 weeks. So if this fits you and you like walking through all of these things step by step, this would probably be a good fit for you. In this class, I walk through, just like we're doing now, on a video with the various steps, with lots of picture examples of good latches and bad latches by babies, some video showing you what the sucking rhythm should be like, and all these things that you know you can do to protect breastfeeding for your baby, plus a bunch of handouts, including a handout on nipple flow. So these are things that would be really helpful for you, and I encourage you to get feeding off to a good start. So this would help you in that journey. If you're a mom who has an older baby who is refusing a bottle, now you kind of know why based on what we just talked about, but the beginning bottle feeding class has to be thrown out the window for you. You are dealing with a baby that doesn't have reflexive sucking anymore. It's all voluntary. So the way to get your baby to accept breast milk when you're not together is totally different. I have a class for you called Bottle Battle. It is my most popular class, probably I think like 16 times more mothers take the Bottle Battle class than beginning bottle feeding, which just shows that common bottle recommendations we hear are really strong and moms believe them. I'd rather you not wait till you have a bottle battle on your hand. I want you to start when your baby's willing and you have time to work through it. But if you're past that and you need your baby to take a bottle, you need the bottle battle class. I haven't had one mom say it didn't work. It works. So I would love to help you on your journey feeding your baby. Somewhere next to or below this video, you will find links, a link for the book, a link for beginning bottle feeding class, and a link to the bottle battle class. Let me help you feed your baby successfully.